We're starting in 3, 2, 1, half, 0. Hello. 6th episode of Cybersecurity, Southeast Europe Cybersecurity. Today's topic, next generation web browsing security, but believe it or not, everyone these days uses internet for at least part of their office job and their professional life and their semi-professional life and their private life, intimate life, like literally every part of life you want to imagine. And then you can think, okay, but first of all, I use it very consciously. Then yes, but a link leads to a link, or someone can send a link to you, and then you go where you potentially shouldn't. On another hand, maybe you have something which is there already. Next generation firewall with URL filtering or web security, like secure web proxy. Then again, if someone wants it very bad, he will find a way, and even with heuristics, behavioral approach, or greatest signatures ever, it might just go through. Look at water holding attack, right? Especially for those sites or servers visited by CEOs, top guys, Wall Street wolves, etc. So today we will explore how to secure the most crucial people browsing the internet. And by the way, why it is a next generation security. Oh, and why it is a zero trust. So stay with me. So as I mentioned, you usually control where you go. Google.com, ChatGPT, OpenAI.com, Gamble and Guns, just kidding, Facebook.com, etc. But what happened if you get some kind of a link? I don't know, you see it in a forum like the answer to all my problems, or you get it via email. This is something that will make you a rich man within one click. What will happen when you click? You will know when you click. And let me say like this. Trusting your users on recognizing what is good, what is bad, what is malicious or not, is not the best cybersecurity strategy. Trust me on this one. I can give it to you in writing. So, as I mentioned, there are technologies which are used to defend against those type of attacks. I will not be repeating, just hit me up if you need some more info. However, they are not 100% bulletproof. There is no silver bullet. Actually, we used to say there is no silver bullet in cybersecurity. With some of the technologies, it seems that it is. So, introducing the remote browser isolation. Maybe we'll start with how it works. So, you have the internet. The internet, which is, according to some, the source of all evil. I would say it's certainly a source of risk, because risk can be understood as opportunity or something, or a danger. It's the case is you don't know. That's the first thing about risk. The second thing, you can control it. That's how it's different from uncertainty. Uncertainty you cannot control. Shout out to all my risk management guys. So you have the internet. Internet is sending a lot of stuff into the computer of your user. And those stuff might not necessarily be good. And I'm not talking about content which will harm your mental health. I'm talking about source code which will harm your computer. Ransomware, keyloggers, remote access trojans, those kind of stuff. Now, usually there is some kind of a gateway in between. Mentioned firewall, mentioned secure web gateway. Now, imagine whole different way of a gateway, pun totally intended, as the product placement in the next move. Check this out. First, RBI, remote browser isolation. In this case, Forcepoint, because guess where I work. Remote browser isolation is a cloud-based product which basically hosts the browser, like the internet-facing browser, let's call it like that, within the cloud. And then your user from his browser connects to this browser in the cloud, which connects to internet. Inception, anyone? Okay, what does this browser to browser, so user browser, RBI browser connection is about is the remote browser isolation clears, not clears, it actually ingests the content and then streams it into the user where as a visual stream, as a stream of pixels. Like imagine watching Netflix on shared screen and you requested control. So, okay, you can change the TV series, you can move up a category, you can do some stuff. But if suddenly there is something, a pop-up, hey, click here, we'll solve all your problems, you will be rich, whatever you want in this life, and you click, guess what? Your computer will not get infected because you're just seeing it via shared screen. Or you playing Call of Duty or Counter-Strike on shared screen, requested control, and someone writes you on the chat, yo, this is a great skin for your knife or your M4, whatever. And you click. Same story. It's not your computer which gets infected. And this is the idea about remote browser isolation. Only thing that gets infected is this virtual machine in the vendor cloud. So it's a win-win. We got telemetry from a new type of malware which infected our virtual machine. You get a safe computer. Everyone is happy, right? And it does have some of the, it is made to make people save money. Why? Because it cracks the kill chain very, very early. So kill chain, right? The Lockheed Martin invention, the cyber kill chain. There was a literal kill chain, which I hope I will never have to talk about. So if someone did a reconnaissance, then he chose this, let's say, web space, web place, website, which he wants to put this malware in. And I'm talking mostly about, cross-site scripting or drive-by malware download. Then, he triggers you there and he's about to deliver snap. The session is wiped out. Why? Because this malware hit the virtual machine in the cloud of the vendor. So you're safe. And while the things like detection and response, they are actually basing on detection and response, we are isolating whole process. Like, okay, if it's good, it goes. If it's not good, it gets wiped out. But we control everything. That's why #zero trust. So zero trust is about continuous control, right? It's about controlling everything, every access, every asset, every application, every process. Remote browser isolation, in my opinion, does this. Just try using it for your top-level management, and you will never get an angry call. Why this site is blocked? I need to check how my portfolio of investments is performing, and you're blocking me about it because, I don't know, they moved it to a website, or it is hosted somewhere where it is hard to categorize the website based on categorization, which is why there are some controls over it. Now, moving further, you might ask, isn't it too much? Do I need to have an absolute protection, absolute control? Do I need to RBI everything? I will answer that later, but for now, let's see the left part. Hundreds of JavaScripts, and okay, so JavaScripts are the main thing how you can get infected through a web. Either they are triggering some malicious behavior by itself because they are embedded on the site, or they will trigger a download or redirect you to a site which will trigger the download, like drive-by download. Many external URLs, especially on the forums where people using these forums might, as a statistical group, not be known to behave very cyber aware. Let's say there's a lot of stuff on the regular browser. On the RBI browser, couple of RBI JavaScript, which is ours, which is vendors, which is safe. So as I mentioned, the risk. It is an opportunity, but it can be a threat. With RBI, we keep the opportunity. We erase the threat. So coming back to this question you asked, that's my coworker there. So coming back to a question, do I need it for everything? Especially when I have something in place. Maybe I have web security proxy, secure code, also secure web gateway. Maybe you have it from Forcepoint, then Shapoba. Oh yeah, 100, I underline this. Maybe you have a secure web gateway. What do you do? So then some of the vendors, and I consider this a very good idea, it integrates with RBI. How? There are known good sites. I mean, obviously there are sites which takes a lot of, let's say, care to maintain their reputation. Why? Because they're like the attribute of the brand. They are part of the brand. They cannot be, I don't know, compromised or something. Let's call them known good. On the other hand, there are sites which are known bad reputation, malicious links, so risky code, lots of vulnerabilities, hosted in a less friendly regions of the globe, controlled by people you don't want nothing to do with, whatever. Let's call them known bad. So the secure web gateway is very good at it. I mean, it knows good, it knows bad. It's if your vendor have a great threat intelligence, then they surely know it. The problem is right now with the gray area of the internet, which is expanding rapidly. New sites, medium risk site, but prone to some kind of code injection. Social media, and social media, I mean, also you can share a lot, sometimes too much on social media, or you can get something. So, the site is okay, but through the chat, you can get a lot. The same with the forums, right? Some forums. So, and let's call this one unknown web. With the right secure web gateway, you can actually use the remote browser isolation only for the unknown, which is pretty logical, right? So remember what I said about the risk. Throw out the threat, give the opportunity. And this is where I believe we are right now. So integration with secure web gateway and remote browser isolation, I think one of the best cases. I mean, for web browsing, it surely is current next generation. I believe in the future, we might go purely into remote browser isolation with it adapting some parts of the proxies, like, for example, content caching. But it's my honest opinion. Now, before we end up, one more time. What is remote browser isolation? It's a cloud-based container or virtual machine containing a browser. So your user goes from his browser to this virtual cloud-hosted browser within vendor virtual machine. Just then from the internet, he gets the browser experience. He gets the browser advantages, but he doesn't get the risks. So, for example, any automatical downloads, you erase it. Any kind of downloads he wants to do, there are other technologies for file downloads integrated with RBI. I will cover them in the future, but you can take care of the downloads. You can also block any uploads or put DLP filters on the uploads, which is also an extension of remote browser isolation. The most important thing, nothing gets through, because it will get through only to the point of this virtual machine, because no code is sent to your user machine. And I will take a small anecdote. I will leave this slide because it's really explaining everything. The anecdote goes like this. I had a customer where the management had some kind of anger management issues. So every time they found something blocked, they were raising a ruckus as hell that IT security is making a problem for them. And IT security got very fed up because, they have to do their job. On the other hand, they get scolded off by the top management. So they were pretty overthinking every policy applied on the web channel on their secure web gateway. Forcepoint RBI solved this problem. Any RBI would solve this problem. So believe me, that's why I call it next generation of web browsing. And as usual, if there will be anything coming up in your mind, hit me up. You know, there are plenty ways to reach me. The next cybersecurity number, lucky 7. How do you secure key transfers between your domains? A small hint, it will be about a cross-domain solution. What it is, what it does, why you should be not relying entirely on your next generation firewall, even if it's great. And see you in the future. All the best.